All right, welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. This is Derrick,
This is Vaughn.
and we're here with Dox Diggla. What's good, brother?
Good part two.
Diggla.
Part two.
I tried to part two. Back.
Part
Word
two.
up.
We back. So now gonna get into the extensive introduction. If you caught part one, it was a good one. We got a lot of great feedback, and I think we all left that first episode feeling like we, left some meat on the bone. Pause. So,
TGMP, unfinished business.
Absolutely. So we here. So let's talk about the album, man. So it's been a long time coming. I know you've been sitting on it, and you had your reasons.
That was apropos. You see how slick you was just then? You ain't even noticed that. See?
So there's no spoon. So talk to us a little bit about that with the Matrix references and all that. What's the album about?
It's just interesting the difference that they makes because that energy wasn't in the public yet. The last time we spoke, it was on the verge of that. So now with being out and me carrying this project like 4 years, it's like being in labor for like 4 years, bro. So just energetically getting it out of my system has been a relief and a release, and then the response that's coming back. Because you be sitting on something so long and it's work. And I always reference Vertical when he was still doing this podcast. He talked about pushing the Kanye button, right? And he talked about that moment when you first create something, and before you even get it in the car, the music is blasting in the studio, and you're like, bro, this is the greatest thing anybody ever made in the history of music, right? But then when it's time to let somebody else hear it, you get all timid, like, I hope you like it. I record. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of give all your energy away. Right. So I don't necessarily do that, but holding on to this project for so long, after a while, you can't hear it with fresh ears, even though it still works. So now to be getting that response, and then there is no spoon. Like even when I put up the artwork, like the artwork was already kind of resonating with people and tapping into their subconscious mind. And we from a generation where Matrix was huge for us. I think Matrix Part 4 coming out next year too.
Yep.
But it's like a visceral, emotional response when people talk about the Matrix, because it kind of helped to crack the code for a lot of us. And the reference of There Is No Spoon is just a part from the Matrix where Neo was going to see if he was the one. And he was sitting there with the rest of the potential ones and the little kids in there bending the spoon. And that part always resonated with me when he said the only way you could bend it is to realize it's just a conjuring of your mind. It's not really there in that form. It's just energy just like you are. When you understand it's coming from you, and you can manipulate and control it how you will. So the spoon represents whatever your specific limitation in life is. And it's a reminder that it doesn't really exist outside of here.
No doubt. Yeah, before we get into the album, I was going to ask you about that too. How important was that movie to you, The Matrix? Because we all seen it. It's three movies, of course. But how important is that movie to you?
3 movies, hint, hint. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, the movie, that was at a time where I was transitioning. Like we used to have to go to church. I think we talked about that a little bit in the interview. And that was a point where like I started to see my sister transition from like just being a knucklehead to like really buckling down into Christianity. And there was a time where I was confused about God pretty much. So I had never seen a project put together like that where even though on the surface it was an action movie, but it was digging to realms of the questions I was asking about what is existence. I felt like Neo felt like, something about this quote unquote reality does not seem complete. And the stories I'm getting about God don't seem complete. So even though it was like probably 15 years ahead of me getting to this point where I realized what that movie was about, it was kind of the first cog that dropped to kind of open my mind up to something beyond reality, beyond the Matrix.
Okay, no doubt.
So how do you feel after all this time sitting on it for various reasons, obviously? How do you feel about actually having it out? And also, what reaction are you getting from people in general?
I mean, it's interesting. Like, in this day and age, music is coming so fast. It's
That's
always
a fact.
a new artist. It's always a new mix. This is a huge reason we don't really get classic albums anymore. And people don't even make albums. Everybody's doing an EP.
Right.
When I was first working on putting the project together, we were doing our best to squeeze this into an EP just to accommodate today's ears. But with that being said, I was just compelled to go against the grain. And part of me didn't know if people would understand a concept album in this day and age. I didn't know if people will understand the layers that I've been putting out in this music. But the response has been more than, oh, Dox, I listened to your tape. It's dope. You know what I mean? It's been like emotional, spiritual response, like people calling my phone. Some of these people I don't even know how they even get my number. Sending me emails, writing out whole reviews like they double Xcel because it's like really impacting pieces of their consciousness beyond just being entertained by some music. And that's why I talked about I'm grateful to have the balance of the necessity of entertainment value coupled with still saying something beyond what people may be able to register the first listen. So to see people digging into the lyrics, like the post I just put up the other day, my man had hit me all proud, like, yo, I'm breaking down these joints, and he was talking about the lately I've been on one, like in God We Trust.
Yeah.
He was happy he caught that. I'm like, all right, but did you catch the next bar? Keep it a buck. He like, bruh. That's just like a light one. So for people to like really be diving in to kind of extract those keys, it's just been a beautiful thing to witness, bro. And I wasn't sure that would be possible in an age like this, but that shows you how hungry people are for music with some substance. They want to be able to dive into something. It's just nobody's willing to take that risk and give them that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dope that you decided to do it like that as a concept album too as well, because you know I think those albums are the best albums personally to me, because I think that shows a connection and it shows a lot more thought process from the artist. You know what I'm saying? You can easily go out there and try to find a club song, this sub, that song. It's not really pieced together well, but your body of work is really pieced together well. You can flow with it, and I think during this time, we don't care about going to the club right now. You know what I'm saying? People aren't thinking about that. People want substance. They want to listen to something. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think it has to do with the environment that we're currently in. You know what I mean? People are reading more. People are at home more. So people want to listen to something. They don't want to just hear, go out to the club and shake something real quick. It's not what it's about.
And that kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first interview. I remember the first few weeks of quarantine. Like I said, I got a few people that pull up 5:30 in the morning and just blast trap music like every day. The first 2 weeks of quarantine, you couldn't hear a pin drop out. So of course, nobody was going to work, but like you're not going to ride around talking about going to a party, shooting up the block. You ain't leaving the house, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, consciousness has kind of been incubated, and I feel like music that's really going to resonate with people has to go beyond the surface. And it goes back to what I was saying about when you start the honest spirit, accommodations are made for you beyond what you can. I couldn't plan a world shutting down to be ready for this type of a frequency. You know what I'm saying? We haven't even really pushed the professional promo button. This is just raw, organic grassroots. We got that plan in action too, but we haven't even pushed that button yet. And the wildfire that it's already catching, because the same people who may not have been ready for this pre-quarantine, they need this now. They need this frequency. They need something to make them think, to be able to pass these hours. So it's just beautiful how God kind of set up the whole layout for me to come out at a time like this.
And that's why I think it's so important that you did use the movie The Matrix as a thing for it. Because pretty much if you know The Matrix, like you said, that's pretty much what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So I think it correlates very well.
Yeah, and we kind of got booted out the Matrix to a certain degree for this quarantine season. So yeah, it's on point.
Definitely.
Why did you decide after all this time to not stream the album?
Oh, we actually are going to stream the album. We had some technical difficulties with the rollout. So initially, I had to make a choice of if I was going to honor the date that I had been promoting for, if I was going to wait to have the whole package seamless. And normally I would have went with the latter of the two, but Spirit told me I needed to just get the energy out of my system. So as of, I believe, next week, we'll be on all streaming platforms. And then it's something too, like I've been paying attention to, RJ Payne, artists like that's really been pushing home, not depending so much on these different entities and really just starting to brand yourself. So I'm kind of experimenting with that and seeing the and I'm doing pretty well right now without major streaming sites, and the people who need that, who can't really download it, how it's currently set up, they hit me every day like, bro, when is it going to so I could get my own copy? So I'm kind of seeing the best of both worlds, but we definitely plan on streaming. It should be up maybe by the time this interview is live.
Okay. Okay. So the material that you currently have, you said, well, from the last project was about 4 years, right? So,
Yeah.
so how many songs do you think in those 4 years you actually recorded, and how many that you recorded made the album?
Well, I recorded this album 3 different times and didn't mean to. Right. Yeah. Again, it's just funny how God worked. The first time I recorded it at this point was probably like 8 years ago. At that time, I was like maybe 30 songs in. And then, meditation started to happen. I lost connection with, the studio me and Still had. A lot of that music got lost. Yeah, I ended up getting another studio, DJ Still, Sirius Satellite. He's one of the main dudes who helped me throughout my career. But we kind of lost all that music, so we had to start over. Again, I was about 25 songs in at that point, completely new music.
Wow.
And the guys of There Is No Spoon, and then meditation really took off. And I just got pulled in a completely different direction. And I had a maybe 2 or 3 month phase where I got with Vertical. He just hit me up like, bro, let's make some music. I'm like, I do need to finish this project. So again, I went probably 40 songs deep. So all together, we talking about 70 songs. And I didn't create 70 songs to try to figure out what was the best to pick from. It just kept happening while I just kept having to start over.
Yeah.
Like I told y'all last time, I haven't done great with keeping up with my music. So I got whole discographies that's just going, and I know I can always make more. So I just get back in my bag. So probably about 70 songs. The oldest song on the project right now, I think, is Alone. That's about 7 years old at this point. That was actually a mixtape that Still had put out. And they very well got like hundreds of thousands of listens. A lot of people was resonating with that song, but I felt like it needed to be on this project because it represented that phase of the painful aspect of leveling up into this version of myself. So other than that, everything else is about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, I was just about to. That was gonna be my joint. I was gonna ask you what your favorite joint is, and my favorite joint is Alone, for sure. That Aunt Vivian line is mean.
It's crazy. It's crazy because a lot of battle rappers have used that now in the maybe past 3 years. So every time I hear that, just be battle rappers always late, and I don't like. I have a battle rap mind mixed with like a Nas consciousness.
Right.
So I'm not punching just to punch or try to make it look fancy. I'm punching within the conversation and the content all at the same time. But it's interesting that I hear battle rappers use stuff like that like years down the line. But a lot of people have been reaching out to me about Alone, and I was skeptical about putting it on there because I just wanted this to be as fresh as possible for me. I didn't want any, not stale energy, but too old. But when we really sat down and we were sequencing the album, it needed to be there. And I'm glad I put it there because a lot of people resonating with that.
Yeah, you know what, when you at the beginning of the song, and it also resonates with quarantining. Because it's just kind of like I haven't had human interaction in months, and that's all part of them. And then tell me to lighten up, but I'm nothing like Aunt Vivian. So that was dope.
Yeah, I didn't even put this album. I didn't know I had an album. This last run when we recorded all that music, and we had a lot of issues like getting stuff mixed and mastered, because at that point Vertical wasn't really in that bag no more. He was just doing too much stuff, and I used to rely on him for that. And we recorded it certain ways, so it was difficult to get my other people who was used to all these fancy plugins. They're like, bro, I'm not doing that. It's too much work. So that was a huge reason we couldn't get things together. Meditation took off. I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna leave that alone. And I thought I was never even gonna put out this body of work. And like I said, my OG who kind of executive produced this, I came to the crib one day, he was like, yo, I got it. Let's go with this. You know what I'm saying? And he was able to show me the vision, like, oh, damn, it is an album there. You know what I mean? So, and it's just funny that was recorded 7 years ago and it's right on time for right now. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Before I get into the album, I was going to say also, just the whole process, because basically you were gone for a little while. So you say your OG helped you kind of get you in the direction to put music back out. But like, what made you fully do it? Because like you were good, not putting music out, you were doing your own thing, finding yourself doing what you need to do for yourself. But what made you still come back to the music?
So the signs just kept coming.
Okay.
I think I said before, like we be thinking God got to crack the sky open, but it'd be these little subtle, nuanced messages. And initially, my OG, like he always considered me the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? And his musical taste is phenomenal, so I couldn't even just overlook that. And I've heard that a few times throughout my career, but I'm with him a lot. You know what I mean? He's somebody that has leveled up himself out of the streets. He was one of them dudes. I just say it like that. I mean, every time I come to the crib, I have to listen to myself. Like, and he just always telling me, like, bro, like, we gotta do something. So, on top of that, when quarantine happened, I was reaching out to Paris. Paris Stewart, who did Pressure, who did Scout Sana. Super lit in his own right. He does everybody's videos, Megan Thee Stallion, French Montana. He's that dude. My first deal was with him with Major Key. But I had been reaching out to him, and he was responding, but he was just busy. I had sent him 4 records. I asked him whatever resonated with him the most, like, shoot it. And that was like 4 or 5 months prior to quarantine. And then all of a sudden, I'm not thinking about putting no album out. And he like, yo, you still want to shoot? I'm like, bro, the world is shut down. You want to shoot now? Like, but Sparrow was like, okay, that's a sign. So I did that. Didn't know if it was going to work out. We showing up at the beach, these different locations, not knowing if it's going to be shut down. Like, everything worked out. So I'm like, all right, if that went off, let me see what else going to happen. And then engineers start popping up, and everything just started to align for itself. So it wasn't even my conscious decision. Universe just said, yo, it's time. And it spilled out in all these, like, you know, idiosyncratic expressions.
Yeah. So, all right, so you have these, like, the classes you do, Peace in the Park, things like that. How do those people differentiate? And I guess how do you make it? You already know where I'm going. How do they differentiate Diggla from Brick City Buddha?
They don't know who Diggla is, man. All they know is Buddha. Like, most of them literally call me either Buddha or Brick. Like, I'm so many different things to so many people, bro. But that was part of what Spirit was also telling me, that it wasn't just about me getting it out or proving anything to anybody. I've approached music for a long time since my level up as an extension of how I teach. And with music, it's different from having a class and, you know, people can resonate, feel good, but then that thing spills right back out of their consciousness once the world smack them around. And right. With music, that thing gets ingratiated into your consciousness. So I knew that I didn't have this talent for no reason, but I'm not somebody that's walked around carrying my history like, oh, I do this too. I don't come to class saying go the DoxDiggla.com, which is BrickCityBuddha.com for the past 3 years. So now that I've released this album, they got a glimpse of it with Vertical. With the Skywars. A lot of them was like, yo, you dope. Like, what you been doing? That was also an example, like, all right, well, this community also is experiencing this part of myself and asking for more of this, so maybe they're ready. So now that they've gotten the full gamut, not only are they breaking down the album and going into that, you been on Sway, bro? You know what I'm saying? You got all this. Like, bro, I was somebody before I was your meditation teacher, so it's just been interesting to see these worlds kind of collide. And that's another message that had been coming in the past year to people that don't care about the meditation aspect. And yo, when is the album? Out of nowhere, just mad people just asking, yo, when you gonna put an album out, bro? So those worlds are kind of colliding, kind of like Daylight said in his battle with Tay-Rock. That was the moment for him where these worlds started to like really collide. The same thing is happening for me. Shout out to the big bro Daylight.
Dope.
Definitely, it's dope. Yeah. So speaking with the album, you know what I mean? The album has a message to it and it has a nice flow to it as well. But one of my songs that jumped out at me first, I mean, from start to finish, I like the album. But when I heard Solo, right? So I kind of got what you were saying. Well, I knew what you were saying the whole time, but that seems like it was like a transition song. So basically you saying like now, I'm paraphrasing of course, yo, it's different. Now I'm not doing what I used to do. And you find yourself being solo. You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of like your thought process with the whole thing?
Absolutely. Shout out to the producer of Solo, Plex Luther. And I connected with Plex Luther. He saw my Sway joint. He's like lit in the like the grunge, hip hop, rock mashup arena.
Yeah.
So we started working. He sent me like a 40 clip of different beats, and a lot of them was more on the rock side. Like I got a whole rock song that I haven't released yet.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah. Versatility.
Yeah. But yeah, so when I got Solo, it was like he had sent me this 40 clip, and like all the beats was crazy, but I wasn't used to squeezing what I do into that type of sonic tapestry, if you will, right? So I'm like, all right, this is dope, but I don't know if they like. Yeah, he sent me the 40 clip, and like I was saying, they was all dope, but they wasn't really Diggla. They wasn't really hip hop until I heard Solo come on, and it's built. I'm like, bro, what where is this going? And when that beat dropped, it reminded me of some like vintage Beastie Boys, but the boom bap was hip hop enough to still like infuse that East Coast flow into it. And I was at that point where I was coming out of the solitude I talked about in Alone and starting to establish the community, starting to do performances again, lectures. But I felt like I was in a frequency where I was like the Pied Piper, and I would be in rooms of hundreds of people, events, thousands of people, but still felt solo, still felt dolo, like I was the only one spearheading this mission. I got people following me now, but still felt like it was just me and God at the end of the day. So the approach I took to that, of course, was like real left, coming back around to that. And then you got to like get kind of sort of figure out that's where I was going initially. But yeah, that's how solo kind of came in. So shout out to Plex Luther, man.
Oh, that was dope.
Yeah.
So I like Dub. I like the you know, the homage you paid to the Black Sheep joint. So that was dope. And Come to Me, I rock with too, man. And those are three, you know, between that and Alone, like it's a lot of variety on there, man.
Word.
That was part of the difficulty. Y'all still with me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was part of the difficulty because, mind you, I still got like, out of the 70 songs, I still do have about 40. It's 16 cuts on the album. And all of them are in such different directions because as an artist, I always like to play with different flows, different sounds. And then content-wise, I'm so many different people, genuinely, that I can go so many. That's been part of my struggle of figuring out how to make cohesive projects with me honoring all these different pieces of myself. So I think we definitely pulled that off. And it's interesting, everybody got different top fives. And I haven't even been asking people to get, they just like, yo, I think these my joints. And all are different across the board.
That's awesome, man.
Depending on what somebody's frequency is. And that just proves to me that everybody's not going to rock with everything. As a meditation teacher now, somebody that does lectures, I know no one message is for everybody across the board. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So I have to honor those different pieces of myself and know certain songs not going to be for everybody. But as long as somebody got a nice little plate that they could take from the buffet, then we Gucci. And everybody got different type of vibes right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I was really feeling the Oscars joint because it showed a different flow. The flow had changed up, and I went back and listened to it a couple of times. Like, all right, he's in his bag right now. So I can tell. So that's what you're saying. You got different styles, but you definitely showed that on the album. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a hindrance at all. I think it's like you said, that's great. Like, you know, if you don't like that song, you don't like another song.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
and that's why sequencing is important. And again, shout out to my big bro Banger, my executive producer. But if we didn't have the proper sequence, those people who may not resonate with a solo, with Oracle Talk, they may not make it long enough and stay interested long enough to get to what it is they like, which is maybe the juices and I got
juices and berries joint.
How you a meditation teacher, you a guru, and you got legit songs I'm out here twerking.
Yeah.
Like,
juice and berries go hard.
I didn't make these songs for that. I was just doing what I felt at the moment, and to see how people responded to it, how all the different ways we could take these songs is beautiful to see. Like we had an idea, but until you give it to the people, you don't really know like that. I mean, so now we're starting to see how we can start to promote the marketing campaigns we can make for each individual song. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the wisdom we getting from the audience right now, man.
Yeah, it definitely flowed straight, and even the skits were placed perfectly too.
Yeah.
Everything was placed perfectly, so it definitely flowed.
Appreciate you, bro.
I want to transition to some of these lives we got the Brick City Buddha doing. So I tap in when I can, you know, we're dealing with kids and, you know, just trying to do what you got to do. But all right, so a couple things. And I'll tell you what, you do a great job with the titles, getting people in. But all right, so I got a couple things to ask you, right? Okay. You got the Women Aren't Built for Monogamy joint, which I'm sure had people flying to the live. And second, why? I think I listened to your live. I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago about like your relationship. Why are you so transparent with that?
I think that's my greatest skill as a teacher, a guy, and really, I consider somebody a teacher. That's somebody that's willing to shed their light. And of course, part of that light is the darkness that nobody really wants to show. But that's been like my greatest magnetism is I don't plan to do it. It kind of just happens. And I remember when I was going through what I was going through before Honors English reached out to me. Everybody always say don't vent online. I ain't had nobody else to talk to. Parents ain't understand what I was going through. All the homies was gone. Wifey was gone. It was just me in four walls, like I talked about on the loan. So to a large degree, even if nobody listened or understood, at least I could get it out.
Right.
That I kind of developed that muscle of understanding that outside of just me venting, not only is it helping me, but it's shedding light on somebody else's situation. And that's created a lot of magnetism and abundance for me. So I got to continue to honor that, because beyond all the techniques that I know, all the little fancy yogic terms, what people really identify with is just hearing your story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just continue to do that. And with the titles, like people give Kanye such shit, and you know, sometimes rightfully so, right? But that's still my big bro, and he's like, him and Pop in a lot of ways is super similar to me. You know what I mean? Like, I think Kanye in a different way is just as gangster as Pop was, but they understand human consciousness. They are like psychoanalysis, and I'm the same. Sometimes I get online, I just watch y'all. You too. I just watch y'all. Watch y'all behavior patterns, what y'all respond to, lettering, word, colors. I watch all of that. And I don't tout myself as like a marketer, but I can do that. I've helped people like level up in that way by just being genuine to my story and like really knowing what resonates with people. So the live's been beautiful, especially the one you mentioned. People are still hitting up about that, and it's dope because it's not just a conversation online. At least like 100 people, mostly women, said they was able to finally have that conversation with their mate. And their mate got angry, got scared, like, so you want to leave me now? Like, who this Dox nigga? Like, let me go for you, know what I mean? Like,
they're about to run down on you.
About to run down. For people to take it off the live and into their actual home and their bedroom and start to go to a higher level of truth, no matter what comes from that. That's my job as an artist. That's my job as a guide, if you will. That's my job as Buddha. You know what I mean? So,
Gotcha.
Now, I definitely think being transparent like that is key. You know what I'm saying? And definitely telling your story, especially for what you do, you know, besides the music thing. So, like I always say, if you can't, you know, go to someone you look up to and he can't tell you the truth or she can't tell you the truth, and they can't tell you their story, well, I'm going to believe what they say. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you can see yourself in them and if they having a certain issue and you put it out there, that can help me or whoever out with their issue that they could be having.
Right. And it's really no higher level of love than like just listening to somebody, bro. Like really giving them your undivided attention, whether you agree with me or not. For people to just tune in with me like that, that's love, bro. So
yeah. Word up.
How do you differentiate? Like you leave the booth as Dox and you go to a class. How do you what's that switch like?
I haven't had to press it much lately because I haven't been recording. Like I needed to get
from the old material. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was doing it, I still was teaching classes, not to this magnitude. But what's the Jay-Z lyric? Step out the booth.
Superman's alive.
That's low key about presence. That's low key like yoga. And watching The Last Dance was big to me. That last episode where they talked about the fact that beyond Jordan's talent, he was like a guru because he knew how to stay completely present. It could be Game 7. He in the back playing around with the security guards, not even thinking about what's about to happen in 2 hours.
Right.
People always say, why would I if he was in a slump? People would say, how you had the confidence to keep shooting? Why am I going to be scared of a shot I ain't take yet? I mean, so while I'm in that booth, while I'm in my quote unquote music bag, I'm fully that. When I step out of it, I don't, and that was a big part of like the suffering that comes with music with artists. We don't know how to step outside of the identity of I'm an artist. And we end up being desperate to make everybody see that. Most of the downloads I got to put me in this point to be able to put this music out now have come from the moments where I wasn't Dox. You know what I'm saying? Have come from the moments where I wasn't Brick City Buddha. When most of the time when I first rock with somebody or I'm doing a session or with a client, I say I am nothing. And people will laugh at me, but that's just to help me remind myself that these terms, these titles, saying like when yourself to any of these boxes, you can freely become whatever you need to be in that moment. And that kind of correlates to the line on UFO. Portals all around. I'm in and out the grid. I'm just stepping into different portals and these different labels and terms. You know what I mean?
Now, but I think what you're saying is true with everybody, what we should do anyway, kind of being in the moment with stuff. So I think a lot of times we're not in the moment with what's going on. So it could be whatever. I don't care if you with your mate, if you with your kids, whatever. You got to be in that moment. What's going on now? I think we're trained to worry about future stuff. And people are thinking about what's the next move instead of being present, you know? And like you always say, presence over presence. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
I said it on Scout Sana. Forever is the present. We forever live in presence. So forever's in the present. You feel me? Like infinity is right here in this moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Word. All right. So what's next for Dox and Brick City Buddha separately or together?
I'm not really in the business of planning no more, and that's why I'm grateful to have a team. Because they kind of like, I got my music team, I got my meditation team, and all of that.
That's dope.
They doing the plan. I can just kind of sit in my bag, and with the time, all right, that resonates, that's work, let's do it. And then for the most part, I'm just in the present moment and just letting the source work. But the part that I do know, we're gonna promote the hell out of this album.
Good.
It's crazy because I don't know if I mentioned it the last time that I'm pretty open to my astral realm. It's a lot of keys in our dream world that we just kind of pass off as though I just had a dream. And it's wisdom in there for you to apply to your life. So I don't know if I told y'all that Nipsey had came to me like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Nipsey came to me. We had like a whole meeting. Like I could still see it clear as day. He was in like these like white bucket seats, not in the car, like these white fancy bucket seats. I knew he was like in an island type environment. It was like an all glass wall. I didn't look outside of it to see the beach, but I just knew that was the type of environment. It's like 30, 40 people running around the house, walking around the house, handling business and stuff like that. And then just me and Nick. He got a cigar and he's giving me tips, telling me I'm on point, I'm on schedule. And before we came out of the dream, he said, I'm gonna send you some help over there. Right?
Okay.
I don't know what that means. 5 days later, the dude that discovered it, who's still in control of his music, his DJ, one of his executive producers, he reaches out to me out of nowhere.
Wow.
And mind you, he lives in Cali. He's one of the executives for the Marathon Continues, the label. And he was like, I don't even know who his man is that told him. And that's the thing. Like, I got so many pockets of fan bases that I don't even be conscious of that's working beyond what I know. But he said he got wind of me. He checked out the site. And I told him, like, yo, that's all old shit. He's like, I'm rocking with it. Like, Son, what's up? What's the situation? So me and him been going back and forth. And that's just one example of all the resources that's been coming. So my team is doing our best to connect these dots and really take tens as far as it can possibly go. And I feel like it's meant for the world. I haven't felt that about too many projects, but I feel like that about this one. So that's what time it is right now. And you know,
Wait.
Go ahead.
Well, you know why that happened, man. The I still remember the day Nip died, and you had a freestyle out like immediately, like before people got to go in the studio and do a whole song, add a hook. Like I remember. I think it was the Sunday when it happened.
Yeah, down on Sunday, fast on the Sunday.
Then, I don't know if you remember this. I woke up and I went to IG. That's the first thing I saw on my timeline was that, and that's something I needed to hear at that time. And I think we DM'd about it a little bit shortly after. But who knows? That's probably why he came to your dreams, and that's why the dude that reached out. Did he even know you did that freestyle?
No, I actually still need to send it to him. We're talking about this album so much and the business stuff. I got to get it back. Thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna send that to him. I told him my connection with Nip though when he first reached out to me. I told him I had the dream and all of that. And Nip has been like one of my ascended masters, one of my spirit guides.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Probably since Mailbox Money, like when I got to Crenshaw, beyond it being like kind of the same response people have in the tens right now, it was something spiritual about me listening to that. Like the level of motivation and inspiration it took me to. It was more than just an album to me, right? So I knew from that moment that he was my big bro. And this in quantum mechanics is a theory called quantum entanglement. And scientists have studied celestial bodies on opposite ends of solar systems that are moving at the same pace, that shift, and they know it's in unison beyond the space and time that's in between it. So I knew we was connected on a certain level. So when he died, that just like it was like I was talking to Big Bro on the other side. That's why it came fast. Like I remember walking into the house, I'm playing, like I said on the joint, I was playing with Marty, And wifey was like, yo, you know Nip just died? It was like my heart fell out my chest. Like
Yeah.
I put my son down, I just looked at my son for a minute, I just went straight to the car and it just poured out of me. I did a few joints dedicated to Nip. I actually got one more in the tuck that I did like on the anniversary of his death, but just never put it out. It's still up here off the Double Up beat. I probably will still put it out at some point, but yeah, Nip is my ascended master. I know that without a doubt.
Wow, dope.
That's crazy how that kind of how things work out like that. You know, you having a dream, and the next thing you know, somebody from his camp reaching out about music on the music tips. Right. So that's crazy, man.
Word.
Dope, man. Wish you luck with that. It'll all pan out.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you catching any of this NBA stuff?
Of course. I mean,
okay.
it's different. It still don't feel like the playoffs to me right now, even though the quality of the game is lit.
It's growing on me. It's growing on me a little bit.
I said since day one. Some people were saying, they don't like them playing the bubble. I'm like, yo, they balling in this bubble. Like, if you really watch the games,
right?
They taking no shorts. And
you know what it is? It's intimate. It's almost like watching a very good high school game in a small gym, and it kind of has that feel to me. I've never been like a big NBA regular season guy. Like, I don't watch a full game in a regular season unless I like go to a game. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of, I mean, it's a long season, and I get it. Guys take days off just like they take off at work. Right. So you can't expect certain things.
That is their job. So
yeah, exactly. So, like, you'll see the best team in the league, lose to the worst team by like 25, and like, it doesn't really matter.
But what's so crazy?
I appreciated it more during the regular season, but now that it's playoffs and you just expect that energy from a crowd, like it's just different. But I still appreciate the level of play, because the level of play is crazy right now. It's going off. My boy Melo got a shot right now, so I'm still pulling for my guy, man.
Yeah, what's crazy about the bubble? It's like a big AAU tournament, right? As we all know.
Yeah.
But the crazy part about it is that yesterday, Donovan Mitchell dropped like 57, and Jamal Murray. It's funny because Jamal Murray went on IG, was like, "Yeah, that's what I got to see." After he drops 57,
that was dope. Yeah.
He turned his phone around, and Donovan Mitchell was sitting down on his phone, like, at the resort. He's like, now I got to see him every day. So they see each other all the time.
Yeah, that was dope.
So it's like, yo, like, I can't run from you. So you're gonna have arguments that's gonna happen. They're all in the same place. So that's why it's gonna be very intense. Cause like, you mess around and see a dude at the buffet and he grabs 60 points on you. You know what I mean? That's how it go.
See him by the pool.
Hurry up. Like, damn.
You just fouled me hard.
I didn't even know he dropped 57. I ain't watched those highlights.
Yo, yesterday they said this is the first time in NBA history where 4 dudes under the age of 25 dropped over 30 on the same day. It was Luka.
Luka was balling last night.
Luka, Jamal Murray, my man Spider Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, and Jason Tatum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they out there just going at it, man, and like it's good to see. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. All right, so Dox, we're gonna go to our rapid fire. So we got some more heat for you.
All right.
I'll set it off. Are you ready? All right, I got a Nas question, right? You know the question: Illmatic or It Was Rare?
It was rare.
All right.
Of course.
I think that's like pretty consensus of like what everybody we asked that, and we agree with that too. We always talk about It Was Rare.
Only Nas haters and casual fans think Illmatic was his best album because Jay-Z said it. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly. And
I actually got Illmatic like maybe 3rd or 4th on his catalog.
Because I think if people hold, it's like nostalgia, right? So they go, oh, Illmatic, but yo, it was written, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Think about what it was and how he grew as an MC, from Nasty to Esco.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so mine's a little different right now. So what's your favorite things in the movies? What's your favorite Matrix movie out of the 3?
Part 2, I think Revolutions. Yeah.
The second one. Yeah. All right.
Because they tied so much of the story together. The 3rd one, it got a little like morbid, a little somber, and it needed to. You know what I'm saying? But that second one and then the action scene right along with the content and the concepts they were moving. Like, I remember being in the movies with Stress, right? Stress, my sister and my OG banger that executive produced this. And that scene on the highway, like when it went from him fighting the dudes with the dreads and all that, finding the Keymaster, it was like 45 minutes of straight action. I remember at the end of the joint, everybody in the movie just stood up and just started clapping, bro. Like that part was crazy. Still to this day.
Yeah, I'm not a Matrix guy, so this is all over my head.
Nah, because you know, part 4 is not gonna have Larry Fishburne in it.
Oh, nah.
Nah, he said they didn't ask him to come back. He's like, I wish him luck though. So I don't know how they're gonna tie that in with Morpheus, but he's not gonna be in it. So right there, it might be a little suspect. How you going, bro? It's gonna be such a little already.
Right. Shout out to the writer of the Matrix, who was a black woman. I forget her name right now. The Wachowski brothers kind of stole her shit. She also wrote Terminator before it was called Terminator. But yeah, it's a black woman. She actually won her suit. She won like $500 million, some crazy.
Wow, good for her, man.
Yeah,
real.
All right, next one. What's your favorite vegan dish?
Right now, I'm big on it's this spot in Bloomfield, Good Plans Cafe. And mind you, you know, black-owned businesses, Blueberry Cafes, Zucchini Bar. That's my main spot. Black-owned, but it's this new spot that makes pretty much like a raw pizza. Good Plans Cafe. They got a mushroom pizza, mushroom like pesto pizza. That's crazy right now.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's like my Sunday dinner meal.
All right.
No doubt. All right, so this would take it to sports. If it wasn't for injuries, who would have the better career, Anthony Hardaway or Grant Hill?
That's a tough one. I know where I'm leaning, but that's a tough one.
Damn. I'm gonna go. I want to say Penny, but I would say Penny if he was closer to this generation where his skill set would have been more conducive to now, like because he had the range, he could shoot the three. Grant Hill was more inside 18, 20 feet. At that time, if he would have, that was perfect for that generation of basketball. I would say Grant Hill.
No doubt.
All right, you know, I'm gonna get my man Vertical involved in this one. What's your favorite Vertical Jones beat?
My favorite Vertical that I rapped on?
I mean, whatever you heard, or it could be yours, whatever.
Sheesh.
I got two, and one he did for me. So.
Sheesh. I can't even call. I know one of my favorites is a fairly recent joint. Neon Wonder.
Neon Wonder is crazy.
Neon Wonder is very crazy. But outside of that, he done made so much music that I'm such a fan of. Outside of that, just because it's recent, I can't really even call it.
All right, I'm gonna say the Long Time Coming beat is my favorite.
Oh my God.
And I think y'all used that twice. Because I think you used it, and then y'all used it with the joint with the Good Morning America joint, where Gish just went stupid on.
Facts, yep.
Shout out to Gish.
Yep.
No doubt. So my last one. If you can do a collabo with anybody from the 90s, not Nas or Hove, who would it be? Now, this is back then, though. So I'm not saying now. I mean, like back then, if you can go back to the 90s and collab with somebody.
Not Nas or Hove, Common.
Yeah. All right.
Common. Wow.
Yeah, Common was in like my top 2 or 3 for maybe a good 5-6 year stint. And even though, of course, he fell out of it, like his catalog is still special to me. Like I could still go to some of them records. One Day It'll All Make Sense is still one of my favorite albums. Common was real big for me before he got to the Kanye era and got a little happy, I guess. He's still lit though. That music fire. He was Common, Chicago Common. That was my dude. So
one of my favorite Common features is Restoration with Black Star. Like I used to play that on loop in high school over and over and over again. So
I just played that for Goddess a few months ago. She had never heard that joint and she fell in love with it too. So
it's crazy. Yeah. Like, damn.
All right. So Dox, man.
Last shots at the night till it blazed sunshine, bro.
I gotta check. I gotta check that one out. That one out. No. I have.
Oh, I'm about to say,
I gotta get reacquainted with it.
Oh yeah. I got that joint on the phone right now.
All right, so Dox, man, We're gonna wrap it up. I'm for sure you'll be back. At some point.
He's a regular.
I'm like an honorary member now, bro. I'm not a guest no more.
Absolutely.
Yo, he come in the crib, go right to the refrigerator. He good.
That's it. My mom.
I ain't done nothing. Not drinking there, bro.
I got water. Look, we got water here, man. You good?
All right, we good.
So I don't know if you want to shout out anything you got coming up, social media, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so anybody that watches this, our next event, August 30th, the last piece in the park for this summer. South Mountain Reservation, West Orange. You can hit my page up for the information. We just did our first weekend retreat. I told y'all we got the land in PA. Went off without a hitch. Beautiful experience. So we're doing our next one September 18th to the 20th. And then outside of that, man, just this album, if you listen to it, if you enjoy it, you bumping it, go hard for it like it was Jay-Z out. Y'all know how it is when Jay-Z come out. It ain't even got to be all that. Everybody posts every single quote. So go hard for not just me, but for what this means for hip-hop, for people to know, for artists to know that you can still be wavy, you can still be lit, but still say something at the same time. So definitely people to go hard and promote this album, man.
All right. Well, shout out to Dox Diggla, man. Appreciate you pulling up for a second time.
Definitely.
You can catch the Great Minds podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere you can hear podcasts. And salute to Dox Diggla, man. Appreciate having you again.
Word up. Subscribe, yo.
Subscribe, comment, like, follow, all that. Appreciate y'all. Peace.